From the studios of TLC Talk Radio, it's TashaTalkz. I'm your girl, Tasha. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and of course, follow us every day on TLCTalkRadio.com for 24/7 edutainment. We have another incredible show lined up for you today, and in our effort to discuss relationships of all kinds, today's in-studio guest is the Reverend Michael Simmons of The Word Became Flesh Productions. And he has, in some fancy words, a play called To the Dudes That Ain't Here.
Yes.
Welcome to this show.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, the title alone is thought-provoking. So I kind of looked at it and I listened to what you were telling me when we met.
Okay.
And you described this stage play as a, quote, nostalgic love story with layers and litanies and lost logistics of life's legitimacies. And I was like, look at him in his alliteration.
I know, right? It's going to be fancy dancy.
Absolutely. But, before we talk about the dudes that ain't here, let's talk about the dude who wrote The Dudes That Ain't Here. That's
okay.
You.
All right.
Tell us about you. Who are you?
All right. I am Michael Anthony Simmons, and I always use my middle name. That's a way of keeping my brother, who's no longer with us.
Okay.
And so I'm known by...
Our condolences.
Yeah, thank you. And so Michael Anthony Simmons, born and raised in Chi-Town, product of Inglewood.
Yes.
And graduate of Simeon, Wolverines for Life, class of 87. I attended... Robert Morris. I attended Columbia. I'm a seminarian, and School of Hard Knocks.
School of Hard. Yeah, you grew up in Inglewood. I know all about that.
I grew up in Inglewood, the School of Hard Knocks. And writing has always been my passion.
Okay.
As far back as I can remember, started out writing poetry. I loved English composition. I talked a lot, and so to keep from going to in-school suspension, I was given the option of joining the debate team.
Oh, wow.
And that kind of sparked my interest in speaking before crowds, as shy as I was and as shy as I am now. Writing is my passion. It's my escape. It's my favorite pastime, and I believe it's one of the major gifts that God has given me to kind of leave some things behind in terms of a legacy and some things for my children and my children's children.
That's excellent.
So that's who I am.
I love it. So you were getting in trouble, Reverend Simmons?
Yeah, I had I was a social butterfly.
I know all about that. That was my issue.
And if I had only put that energy into my schoolwork, I probably would have been a better student.
But you know what? God has a way of taking what it is we do and making it all work out.
Yes.
And so that was always my issue when I was in school. My mother would come to get my grades, and they'd be like, Tasha's great, but she can't shut her mouth. And so as we sit here on TashaTalkz,
here we are.
That just makes sense.
Here we are. The dots have been connected.
Okay. Absolutely. So this play, what led you to write this particular play? I know writing has been your thing. It was an option out of trouble, so that's good. And maybe people thought they were punishing you, but all things work for the good.
They were
right?
actually prompting me.
All things work for the good. So
yes.
What is it about this play? Tell us a little bit about it.
So this play, after a year away from it, last year, 2018, I got married, and so that was a different kind of budget.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so we had been accustomed to doing a major production once a year.
Okay.
But we took a year off, and so I wanted to kind of jump back into it with something that I thought would be nostalgic, something that would grasp the attention of our existing fan base and our future fans.
Okay.
And so I'm a fan of life. I love life. I love living life to the fullest. And I'm also captivated by those who once shared the moments with us who are no longer here with us. And I try to pay homage to those who kind of paved the way of the beaten path, so to speak, and not to allow the impressions and imprint that they had on my life to just go away unnoticed. And so this is our way of capturing them and bringing them into the current.
Okay. So this storyline, tell us a little bit about it.
So the storyline deals with a third-generation bar owner, a guy by the name of Shelby Onassis III.
Okay.
He inherits a bar from his grandfather and his father, both of which died of complications from alcoholism. He himself is an alcoholic, and then his son is killed by a drunk driver.
Oh, wow.
And so life now turns topsy-turvy. He goes cold turkey. He makes God a vow that he'll never drink again until life happens to happen. I would tell you more, but then you wouldn't buy a ticket to come see it.
Absolutely. We certainly don't want you to give it away. What was the process like of writing this play? Is this based on true events, or is it kind of an amalgamation of things that you've seen and heard?
It is. It's a combination of all of that. It is some fiction. It's an embellishing of a small concept that just kind of grew and grew. I think Shelby Onassis and the surrounding characters that will frequent the bar represent a plethora of people that we've either met. They are either family, friends, or foe. And I believe the audience will see themselves while sitting there enjoying this show. So it's all of that. It's realistic characters that we've not met yet, characters that we wish we had not met, and then some that we cherish their very presence every time we're in it. So.
You mentioned nostalgia. Why nostalgia? What was there something going on in your life in that moment that said, I need to reflect? Or is it just something that's kind of who you are? And I the reason I ask is because I'm kind of that way. Like, I like people and I like to sit around and reminisce. So is that kind of the impetus behind creating something so nostalgic?
Yes, that's big for me. I love reminiscing. I love talking about the good old days.
Sure.
Anything that brings a smile, that kind of breaks the monotony of some of the ills that our communities are faced with, just to be able to escape, even if it's just for a little while, to talk about some things that happened and how we grew and some embarrassing moments, times that, that were not so exciting, some of the challenges and difficulties that we inherited, and then to see that we're still here and how we were able to overcome some barriers and how we made it. Trips back down memory lane, I think, are healthy for us. And the Bible talks about laughter is a medicine. And so I'm good with that.
Yeah, definitely it is. And so it sounds like this play is full of laughter and some drama. What are the lessons that you hope the audience gets from this story?
Oh, wow. Great question. I think one of the lessons is to never take for granted that tomorrow is ours to claim.
Wow.
Never assume that you're in the count, but make every moment count. I believe in living life to the fullest. I'm clear that God owes me nothing. And I want to take full advantage of every opportunity he gives me to enjoy this thing we call life. So I think that's one of the key elements. The other is to embrace the good, the bad, and the ugly. Life has its uncertainties, and if it was a smooth ride, we'd all be bragging about it. But if it was easy, everybody would still be here. So I think they'll leave there saying, wow, life is worth taking another shot. I was ready to give up, but I think I'll hang in there for a little while longer.
That's funny that you said that, and things come full circle, and things are always confirmed for those of us who are believers. So last night on an accountability call, me and my girlfriends do, we were talking about the different things that we all are, doing. And we talked about, we turned into our grandmothers. We got to talking about the rough side of the mountain. And I said, try real hard to climb and elevate on a smooth mountain, and you'll find yourself on your back every time, because you can't get up there without some adversity, without some trials. And then when you talk about the nostalgia, now you can turn around, take that information, share it with people who need it. Now you're able to teach them. You can help them climb that rough mountain, but avoid some of the pitfalls.
That's right.
Yeah,
absolutely. I look back on some adversities and some of the most challenging times, and where I just wanted to throw in the towel, give up and quit and all of that. And when I look back in retrospect, I'm so thankful to God that he sent the right people at the right time to encourage me. Now, I had a lot of discouragers along the way, as expected. It caught me off guard then, but I understand now they were a part of God's master plan. And the people who bring up, man, Rev, I remember me from back in the day, man, from what you used to be. I don't argue. I say you're absolutely right. They are just witnesses to my testimony.
Sure.
Because nobody but God could have brought me from there and brought me here. So it's an exciting time. I'm looking forward to this production. I've got an amazing cast. I wish all of us could have been down here in the studio at the same time. But I'm looking forward to it, and I encourage those who listen to this interview to check us out, purchase tickets,
Sure.
make it a family night, make it a date night, and make sure you're in the building.
Absolutely. Where is the building? When does the play run? What are those details like?
Okay, so the play opens up. We're doing one night only. It opens up Sunday, March 22nd, this year, 2020. It's a Sunday night show at the Logan Arts Theater, and that address is 915 East 60th Street. You can go on eventbrite.com and type in the name of the show, and you can purchase your tickets online. You can also see TashaTalkz for tickets. You can call me at area code 708-704-9730. Michael Anthony Simmons on Facebook, Michael Anthony Simmons on Instagram, and we will make those tickets available to you.
Nice. I love it. You mentioned that you just got married. How vital is your wife to the production? Because it's a shift. You were single. You were doing, productions a certain way. Now, obviously, you spent some time dating. Now you're married. What has that adjustment been like? Or has there been an adjustment? Has it just been kind of a seamless interworking? Or does she say, I ain't in that?
It's been a major adjustment. She's my greatest supporter. She's my
Sure.
biggest cheerleader. But she loves the background behind the background.
Okay.
She seeks no attention. She doesn't need that. She is not a silent partner, but she's a strong encourager, and has been very supportive throughout this process, because I went through the writer's block. I think I'm going to give it up. I've got so many other responsibilities. I've got a full-time job, a full-time ministry, life, and so on and so forth. And she's been that encourager to say, continue to pursue your passion. She knows my drive, my energy. She doesn't understand it because she enforces me to take better care of myself.
Sure.
And not to just keep going and going and going until
You run yourself ragged.
until the battery dies. So I appreciate that. I didn't have anybody to be accountable to at a long period, and so I just wrote, produced, and traveled and all of that. So it has kind of given me a balance, a sense of responsibility to people other than just myself.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, because in that sense, she is your partner.
Absolutely.
Tell us about your cast members.
Okay.
You mentioned you wish they could all be here.
We've got an amazing cast, and I just want to give this quick shout out to one of our young cast members, Brother Darius Lyles, Chicago, who was premiered and featured on The Voice last night.
Very nice.
And he connected with John Legend to become his coach in his journey to making it to the top. He's one of our cast members who had been casted and was a part of this production, but because his own individual creativity led him in a different path, he won't be able to be a part of the show.
Sure.
But God has just given us a lot of young talent. We have a cast member. Her name is Kai Rispa. She's 16 years old. She's a junior at Dunbar High School. She is an amazing singer. She's an amazing actress, and she plays a very pivotal role that I think is going to capture the imagination and the attention of young people, because she, within her own right, has a fan base. Brittany Edwards, who has the leading role as the wife to Shelley, who was played by Tony Austin. He's a veteran of the craft. He's appeared in Shy. He's appeared in Empire. He's appeared in Chicago Med and Chicago PD. He's an up-and-coming actor here in Chicago, and I'm excited for him to be a part of our cast. Let's see. We've got about 20 cast members.
Nice.
And I don't know that the interview would allow me to name each of them, but all of them are talented and awesome in their own right, and I'm excited to have an opportunity to work with both returning cast members and brand-new cast members.
How do you go about selecting your actors?
I'm kind of a magnet to talent.
Okay.
I kind of have that eye.
I can attest to that.
I kind of have that eye, and I notice things about individuals that they may not notice about themselves. And I've seen young people who didn't even talk in a room who got on stage, and the world saw this hidden jewel and this gift that has opened doors for them. One of our former cast members, a young lady, she actually used to perform at Corliss High School with Darius. Her name is Jessica. She now performs. With the Black Ensemble Theater. She's traveling the country and doing some amazing things.
Wow.
And she was so shy, she would cry anytime you would put the mic in front of her mouth. And so, and I said, no, it's there. And so she got an opportunity to get that exposure that prompted her to do some other things in the field.
Okay.
So I select them by everywhere I go. I'm auditioning people.
Okay.
Funerals,
they
weddings.
They just don't know it.
They just don't know it. Walking down the street, in meetings, driving, people next to me in traffic. Everybody is subject to being casted and auditioned, whether they know it up front or not.
That's great. You have that eye. You have the production company, The Word Became Flesh. Did the company come about after you began to write, or did you say, let me form a production company because this is what I want to do? It
came about after I began writing.
Okay.
We didn't have a lot of structure in the beginning. In fact, I didn't really know the format of writing scripts or anything like that. I knew I had this burning desire to put it on paper and get it out and tell my story. It started as a concept and an idea, and then once it started to manifest and just become this full storyline just from one thought,
sure.
I got excited. I said, well, okay, let me take it in a different direction. And so once we officially named it, The Word Became Flesh Production, and our signature line is impacting the whole world one word at a time.
Sure.
And we mean that literally. You won't come to a Word Became Flesh Production show and see the same old rehashed baby mama drama, if I can say it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we write with the audience in mind. And so if the audience thinks we're going left, we back up. If they think we're standing still, we go in a different direction. Cliffhangers all the way through. I believe the audience is going to be excited and glad that they came out to see this production.
I love it. Talk to us about some of your past productions, because I'm listening to your story, and the production company came after the plays, and so literally the word manifested. Here you are, the word became flesh, because you just started doing.
Yeah.
And then it came to be. But talk about some of your past productions.
So in 2006, we did a play entitled Bathsheba's Baby. And it was a modern-day depiction of the story of David and Bathsheba.
Sure.
And it won Best Theater Production of the Year through Truth Magazine. 2007, we did A Sister, Her Sin, and Her Savior. It was also a modern-day depiction of the story of Jesus, them bringing the woman who was caught in the act of adultery to Jesus. And
sure.
We know the tagline, he that is without sin, let him throw the first stone. 2008, we did a story called I Now Pronounce Your Husband in Harlot. It was a modern-day depiction of Hosea and Gomer.
Sure.
2009, we kind of got away a little bit from the biblical storylines, and we did an original segment entitled Bodine, and it dealt with a barber in the community whose only son had been incarcerated, and he was nearing retirement age, and he was fearful because he had no one to leave the barbershop to. And there was an array of characters that would come through the barbershop, and it too dealt with nostalgia because he was an old school, and he was always dropping nuggets to some of the younger cats. In fact, Darius Lyles, who was featured on The Voice last night, that was his acting debut with me. He played one of the young barbers that Bodine actually invested time in and ultimately left the barbershop to him. 2010, we did a storyline entitled It Still Takes a Village.
Sure.
2011, A Simple Love Song, We Don't Need No Music. 2013, Soul Ties. 2015, Honeymoon Hostages. 2017, The Judge, The Gigolo, and The Jury. And now, drum roll please, Sunday, March 22nd, 2020, we will be sharing with the world and at least 475 people that will attend the show to the dudes that ain't here. Your
titles are incredibly thought-provoking. What has been some of the feedback that you've gotten from the audience or even the cast when they sit down and they read the script and go, hey,
yes.
What has that been like?
Well, we get a lot of that. I get questioned all the time. What were you thinking? Where did this come from? And how does it tie in? And I've also gotten some negative feedback from one of the playwrights here in Chicago and told me, hey, you're putting too much time in and effort into your title. Keep it simple, even if you have to do a bait and switch. And, of course, I was opposed to that because that's not who I am as a writer. It does not enhance or speak to the creativity that God has given to me. And I pride myself on just being original and being creative and allowing those thoughts to process, to incubate and come out and almost be shockable, to those who have never heard it said that way before.
Sure. That's strange to me. Like, I would not see a play based on the length of the title. So that just seems strange. Yeah. The other piece is we all walk in our different lanes. We walk in our different paths to do what it is we do as individuals. Like you said, that's your creativity. That's the way it was given to you. That's just a little, that's interesting.
Yes.
And strange to me.
Yes. And it is a true story. And it became a motivating factor for me to continue in the path that we were on.
What have been the lessons for you, Michael Anthony Simmons, as you write storylines and plays and, you interact with people? I would imagine that you're dealing with, obviously, a lot of different personalities. You're dealing with a lot of things behind the scene on the business end. What has it been like for you? What lessons have you pulled from this journey?
Wow. Let's see. Some of the lessons have been to remain consistent. In this industry, you have to stay before the people.
Sure.
Oprah Winfrey was on television, number one talk show host for 25 years. She retired, and people almost forgot about her until she came back out with on television.
Sure.
So if people can forget about Oprah, who am I? So I believe in remaining persistent and consistent, being relevant, not trying to be so deep to where people have to wonder what you mean, but to be clear, to articulate the message in a very creative and inspiring way. But the lessons have been many. Be persistent, be professional, treat people like you want to be treated.
Golden rule.
Be true to your word. If you say it, do it. Without your word, without integrity in this industry, you'll soon fall by the wayside. So the lessons have been many, and I'm sure there are many more lessons to come.
I love it. I love it. What advice could you give to someone who's listening or watching the video who says, I might want to do something like that, whether they end up in playwriting or they write something different? What lessons would you give to another creative?
Okay. I would say find your lane. I don't necessarily agree with the cliche that you don't have to create another mousetrap. I think it's a great challenge to create another mousetrap. I believe the world is big enough to have more than one mold, more than one model. Be creative, be true to yourself, be able to take the lumps and the bumps and the criticism along the way, because there will be many, and stay in the fight. You'll feel like giving up, and sometimes it'll seem like you're not going to make it, but stay in the fight. I have literally lost my shirt in these last 20 years. And I've said over and over again, I'm quitting, I'm done, I'm going to get a regular job, I'm not doing this no more. But the call continues to
reach back in.
Reach back, and it's a much brighter light than the dull light that tells me to tuck my tail and run. And so I would say be consistent, be prayerful. In all thy ways acknowledge God, and he will direct your path.
I love it. I love it. So is there a set of, are you the mentor to the cast, or do they kind of mentor each other? Those who've been with you maybe over multiple productions, are you the mentor? Is it a combination? I would assume, because I'm a teacher. So in my head, I'm not just teaching them, they're teaching me as well.
Yes.
What is that relationship like with the cast?
It's reciprocal, because even those who are novices and just kind of getting into the arts, there's still something to be learned from them. And so I'm a sponge. Even at 51 years old, I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly evolving. Sure. And I'm always dropping nuggets. I want to be able to, when it's all said and done, when they decide they no longer want to be a part of the Word Became Flesh production, that they'll go on to do some greater things, that they'll at least be able to say that there were some things about my mentorship that they were able to take along with them. So, yes, I'm the mentee and mentor.
Mm-hmm. What is a lesson, I'm going to put you on the spot, what is a lesson that you've learned from a cast member that kind of caught you off guard?
That you cannot judge a book by its cover. I've had some of the most unassuming people to walk in a room and blow me away in an audition.
Wow.
And then I've had some that I thought were going to set the stage on fire, just kind of be reserved and laid back and really didn't meet the challenge. And so that's an old lesson, but a new lesson. And I'm still shockable.
I love that. Still shockable. Tell us once again details about the play. It's March 22nd at
the Logan Arts Theater in Hyde Park, 915 East 60th. It's an amazing venue. I'm excited.
3 p.m.?
It's a 7 o'clock show.
Okay.
We were going to do 2 shows.
Okay.
We had a 3 o'clock matinee initially, but I didn't want to bother people's Sunday afternoon.
Got it. Okay.
And have people helter-skelter.
I'm like, I know I had a 3 in my head, but
we
go
had
ahead.
2. So we decided to just do the one show at
Sure.
7 p.m. The doors open at 6. Showtime is at 7 p.m. We've got, not only do we have an amazing cast, I've got a wonderful young lady who's our makeup artist. I've got a set designer. The young man who is designing my set, ironically, is the father of a victim. His son, he lost his son to gun violence here in Chicago. And when I went to buy the house to offer my condolences and to respond to the homicide, I ended up ministering to him and his wife.
Sure.
And we never forgot each other. And when we started talking about things outside of violence and corruption here in Chicago, the commonality was that he was a builder. And I myself used to build my own sets years ago. And I decided I can't continue to be the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, and be successful at what God has called me to do.
Yeah.
And so we were able to make that collaboration. And so I'm excited about that. This is his first time building a set, but he is a union carpenter, and he has a gift. And here it is, God connecting the dots again.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm really, really excited. Your social media one more time before we sign off.
Michael Anthony Simmons on Facebook, Michael Anthony Simmons on Instagram. You can purchase the tickets at eventbrite.com. Type in the name of the show to the dudes that ain't here. You can call me direct at area code 708-704-9730. You can reach out to TashaTalkz. We will make those tickets available to you. Please come out, make it a family night, a date night, Sunday, March 22nd, 7 o'clock p.m., Logan Arts Theater, to the dudes that ain't here.
Thank you so much for being a part of the show and sharing what's going to be a wonderful story to share with everybody. Nostalgia is important, and those relationships are important. And as you know, that's what TashaTalkz is focused on, building better relationships of all kinds. From the studios of TLC Talk Radio, I'm your girl TashaTalkz. Don't forget to follow us on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and of course catch us every day, multiple times a day on TLCTalkRadio.com. We'll catch you next week. Bye.